We are
We
live.
live. Are we live?
Yeah, we should be live. Yeah,
All
live.
right, all right, all right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Word on the Ave. Word on the Ave today. Corey Gilmore. Got my partners with me. Lauren Jones, Randy Anderson.
Salutations.
Yeah. Back for back for another get down. Give you some give you some game, give you some truth, shine a light on the darkness. You know what I'm saying? Uh, let's get into it. Let's get into it, man. So seen more of what's going on, see what more fallout from the George Floyd murder. I ain't really seen any arrest. I mean, no, any more arrests. Haven't seen or heard anything from the outside of the one officer. Haven't heard anything from the other two. Uh, I even questioned the mugshot of the officer that they even have. But nonetheless, there's been riots, protests, everything. Y'all see the title. This episode's called Our Real Enemies. Uh, so I've seen everything that's going down at the protest, the burning down of different shit. Uh, you know, fights, police shooting motherfuckers there. I mean, just absolute chaos. Uh, now we're split on that. You know, you got people who are egging that behavior on, and you got others that are condemning the behavior. So it's a lot of layers to what's going on. It's a lot of layers. Let's talk about it. Man. What y'all think, man? What y'all think about what have y'all noticed? What have y'all observed from the past few days since we last met? You know what I'm saying? Anything, what have y'all observed from these protests slash riots or whatever, whatever they are, the whole movement? What have y'all observed? What have y'all what have y'all drawn any more conclusions about anything? Have you gained any new information? Talk to me. Talk to me.
Man, I mean, where do you start? You know, I mean, it's grown legs, not the right type of legs. It's grown arms, not the right type of arms. You know, the intent of the protest was to. Well, I don't know the intent of the protest, and maybe that's where the issue first started. You know, it's it's turned into, you know, a war on race again, basically. And if that was the intent of the protest, black folk, brown folk against the police, if that was the intent, then you set yourself up for failure. You know.
So for clarification, just for clarification of the people, for the people. So you're saying it's not a war on race, right?
Nah. This is
So
not a war on race. This is a war on a long history in America of abuse of power and people not. Well, that's what the fight is. Now the people need to, understand the biggest issue is people don't understand how to utilize the laws that protect them. Basically, whether it's related to a protest, whether it's related to, even our interaction with the police. People need to understand that, we do have rights as individuals, and you have to understand how you're protected in order to move at all, really, to tell you the honest to God truth. And uh we've seen protests across the country. We've seen riots uh, in the midst of the protest
hey,
across the country.
let me know. I don't want to throw you off your keep going if I'm gonna throw you off your thought. I want to convince the people because you gotta you got a lot of people in this country. You're seeing it just from leaders, of course, celebrities, but now you're even seeing it with the corporations and everything. So you say it's not racial, and I'm in accordance with you on that. It's not a racial issue.
Mhm.
Prove to the people that it's not. What are some reasons that it's not a racial issue?
Well, I mean, if you just open up the history books, if you open up, what's happened in the past with non-black people or I'm gonna say black people because that's what this is turned into. I'm not even gonna include any other race. This is just black people. Uh, if you open up the history books, I mean, you've seen the same injustices done to white people. You've seen the same injustices done to Hispanics. I don't have a lot of history on any Asians, Middle Easterns. We already know, uh, they've been they've been targeted as the bad guys for a long time. So you can look in your history books and see that blacks haven't been the only race or racial group that has been targeted by the police per our rights as human beings. So for everybody out there that and there's information out there to back it up. You can pull up statistics of murders of white people by police. It's there. The information is there if you look for it. And so as we sit here and we can all agree that uh, blacks have been targeted. I don't think that that's a secret. However, we can't say that we're the only ones it's happening to. You just can't say that. So to turn this, and furthermore, if you really want to go further, all those officers that sat there and watched this weren't white. They weren't white. So, you can't sit here and say, well, white people are just targeting black people. Well,
but they weren't black though, and we do know that.
Who was black?
We do know under the census that there are, like they say, out of what over 40 million Latinos file under white under the U.S.
Census, under the census.
Now and then, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure on the Asian population. I've heard different things.
They will file before Hispanics will file. Truthfully, they will file before Hispanics will file, and that's just the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because they're lighter than Hispanics are. So, and like I said, I mean, don't get me wrong, we are a targeted group, but you can't look at it in a small glass. You got to look at the bigger picture. And I think everything that a lot of what the media puts out there, because everybody likes to follow what mainstream media says, everything they put out there paints a picture that it is just black people. You know what I'm saying? And so media has painted the picture that it is just black people that's doing it, or that are being harassed and abused by law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do your research, if you do your homework,
you'll find out type of stories. If you follow word on the Ave, just over the past year, you'll find different type of stories, because we've covered everything from a Tatiana Jefferson to David Glenn, who was black, a black woman, to David Glenn Ward, that was a white man. I mean, we cover we cover everything, because anything could be, there can be different motivations for anything, but at the end of the day, it is why we and that's why we named, you know what I'm saying, when the murder initially happened to George Floyd, we named it what we called it was a human being
Yeah.
murdered to the police, because that was the issue at hand. We got to deal with right or wrong. I don't want to throw you off.
Nah, you ain't throwing me off. I want to talk about words for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Because I've gotten away from focusing on
Just one thing, and for y'all, we gonna get into who the enemies are. We gonna pinpoint to just hold tight. You know what I'm saying? If you're not patient, then go ahead, fall out. But we're gonna eventually get into who our true enemies are, and we're gonna shed some light, because it's getting all screwed up. We got too many people out here spreading misinformation, and they have the majority, I mean high majority out here saying the wrong fucking thing. Y'all need to listen to Malcolm X. Malcolm X, when he called out the agents in the Black community. Malcolm X, if you don't want to listen to me, listen to Malcolm. He called out these agents because he knows that they're the ones that are going to keep putting this race baiting in. Yes, racism is real. White supremacy is real. I can prove to you they are real, but they are not real within the form that people believe they are. And a lot of times when we have these, when they have these discussions or whatnot, neither side, whether black, white, left, right, Democrat, Republican, or whatnot, neither side is even educated enough. They're not educated enough to have these discussions. Like I listened to Breakfast Club today, listened to Rush Limbaugh and Charlemagne the God in the Breakfast Club, and they went back and forth. And you got two people, they could not come to no understanding, because neither one of them were educated enough to even elaborate on their position or even address each other's position, you know what I'm saying, on what's going on. White supremacy is the problem. Oh, white supremacy is not real. This and that, and neither one could really address different things. I heard DJ Envy. DJ Envy was they said Rush Limbaugh made a point and said if it was a white man, it wouldn't even had made the news. It wouldn't have made the news. They initially said, no, it would. That's not true or whatnot. And then they said, well, no, you're right. You're right. DJ Envy said, you're right, because they would have gotten prosecuted. They would have gotten prosecuted and fired and, so and so, which that is not the case. Like I said, I gave y'all 4 recent cases. And I can add a case. Like I said, David Glenn Ward, all these people the officers got off on, and there's body cam footage, and it's just as gruesome, terrible as the George Floyd video. And I'm talking about blatant. The only one that you could possibly kind of question, but it's still fucked up on the officers' end, and something needs to be talked about with that, is probably the Daniel Shaver. Daniel Shaver, Kelly Thomas, David Glenn Ward. What's the one that was in the mountains? Boyd. Was it James Boyd got shot in the mountains. Tony Tempa. The cop sat on him for 14 minutes and mocked him. This is a white man.
That's the dude that was
This was down here in Dallas, Texas, happened in 2016. The video did not come out till 2019, and it was, by the time it came out, the officers could not be prosecuted. So this is more than, you could talk about, they say there's more based off population. There's more police murders, more white people are murdered by the police. Now, if you were to go probably by relative to population, it's higher percentage of when you talk about murder, brutality, different things like that. I'll agree with everybody on that. Black people have always been treated bad, and it's because of the money system that keeps them in that state. So they're not able to be represented. So they're the most vulnerable because of the history, and also with inflation. You know, inflation keeps you poor, if you understand that, because inflation keeps you from being able to generationally stack your money and all type of different things. And, you know, it's all type of different factors that go into this shit. So though part of that, so yeah, so it's true, but it's happening. When shit like this happens, it's not time to be talking about who it happens to more. You know what I'm saying? Who it happens to more. Everybody has to be on a unified fucking front, and you got to attack for what it is. Everybody has their different reasons. I just still got hijack Lauren. I started going, dog.
Nah, you good.
Everybody's got to attack for what it is. I don't give a fuck if a motherfucker killed him because, you know, whether it was racist, they didn't like his face, or, you know what I'm saying, they didn't like the way his voice sounded or whatnot. Because see, what I noticed with all this is, you know, is all this just superficial crap that's going on while it's going on, and we sit up there and we want white people to speak on it, you know what I'm saying? And then a lot of them, I'll be honest, a lot of white folks are being dishonest. I wouldn't even say dishonest, but they're getting along. A lot of people are either getting along or keeping quiet because they don't want to ruffle any feathers. So they don't want to ruffle any damn feathers. They don't want to piss nobody off. So they got to say, oh, I stand with you, and it's a black thing, and different things like that. And then, like I said, remember what I told y'all about the Max Kellerman example of what he said on First Take. Can't nobody get caught up in all the, you know, the gestures and shit like that. Because you got people out here, there's motherfuckers that may have a racist mind, or they may not like black people, but I guarantee you, you do business with them. And that's if you decide to. You do business with them, you'll get business done. You'll get some business done, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. Whereas you got people that can sit up there and profess they love, and yeah, I'm on the black people side and this and that, and yeah, I love, and my sister was black and my friend is black and all of this stuff. And meanwhile, they sitting at the job, they sitting at the job, and they got a choice between Brent and Devon, you know what I'm saying? Hey, Brent, you go sit in the office and chill out and do your paperwork, and Devon, you go load that goddamn truck up and have it done in about an hour. It sounds funny, but I've seen the shit. I've seen like motherfuckers that you actually think will be on your side, and they stabbing you in the back the whole time. Meanwhile, the person why everybody hates, because everybody's in their feelings or whatnot. Everybody hates, and they may not like what he said about this. He may not be flat out racist. But people don't agree with his ideals or how he sees the world. That motherfucker will be, when it comes to business and getting down, that motherfucker will be 100% solid. So y'all gotta fuck with people. Make sure the business right. That's all that matters at the end of the day. The interactions are real. The business, you know what I'm saying? The transactions, everything is real. Everything is up front. That's what y'all got to real, you know, worry about. All that, you know what I'm saying? And all the extra shit, it don't fucking matter. But let's get into it. Let's get into it. So
let me make a couple points.
Yeah.
I want to make a couple points before we dig. So right now, at the very least, I'm off for right and wrong, you know, because you can actually find wrong and right, and you can find right and wrong, you know. But I'm more focused on just versus unjust, you know, because just and unjust is more of an appropriate term, and it gets you away from winning. You know, it gets you away from winning because everybody wants to be right, and they want to make you feel like you're wrong. But just and unjust is more of an appropriate term to really open up dialogue. You know, and when I think about just this whole thing in totality, we still have missed a very, very important point in coming together and that's listening. You know, I hear a lot of rhetoric about, well, if you gotta ask how you can help us, then you can just miss me with that, unfriend me right now. And I'm like that, like, how are you gonna build an ally? Because maybe they don't 100% understand. They may have pieces of understanding, but those pieces haven't provided clarity. So it's they asking for more. So give them more, educate, feed them in this whole black lives, blue lives, all lives.
Mhm.
The very first thing you need to do to get people to listen is to validate how they feel. Regardless of if you agree or disagree, validate how they feel. If somebody says Black Lives Matter, don't retort with Blue Lives Matter. Address how they feel first and be like, you know, you're absolutely right. I care about your life just as much as I care about mine. So you are right. Your Black life does matter. That's all you gotta say. Because if you say that, then at least you validated how they feel, and they're more apt to want to listen to you because you're not trying to talk over them. You're trying to create dialogue with them. There's a difference.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Jeff Myers. You're absolutely right. And that's the main problem in this country. Everybody talking dumb out of arrogance. Arrogance and ego is one of the biggest things. That is our main enemy in this country. People don't even understand. We have become our own worst enemy in this country. Ego and arrogance. You are 100% right, because we can't have any discussion because there's too much feelings involved, especially when you're in this era of PC culture or whatnot. It's just destroyed communication. So that's the number one thing that's killing us right now is failure to communicate and feelings. We won't even listen. We won't even attack, you know what I'm saying? At least when we having back and forth, stay on topic and pinpointing each other's points, you know what I'm saying? Staying on their whatever point that they're trying to make. Most of the time we start getting into ad hominems, meaning name calling, or we just, you know, we completely shut off and la 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 la. This is the main thing I see on Facebook. La 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 la. I don't want to hear nothing, and blocked and all that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's childish behavior. So that's the number one thing. You're definitely right. Everything you're saying is right. It's gonna be it's not a race thing. It's gonna be us versus them. But keep going, Lauren. Keep going, Lauren. I just want to.
Nah, you good. I just wanted to make those points. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to make those points that, you know, you can bring feelings into dialogue. You just can't let them control the conversation.
Yeah, you got
everybody has feelings. You just got to check them. You got to check them and not allow that to control the conversation.
Let logic be the vehicle for your feelings.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Let logic always be the vehicle for your feelings.
Yeah,
and then you'll be able to move, you know what I'm saying, move the necessary way.
Yeah. Randy, you wanna jump in? You good? All right. Mad Eclectic Genius waiting to drop one. All right, go ahead, Corey. Let's dig on him.
So you ain't got nothing, Randy. So what do y'all think about the whole burning down? And that's what everybody's going back and forth on. Now, this is interesting because this is falling into the same conversation that we had with the coronavirus, right? Everything that's happening with everything that's happening right now happened in the LA riots. We're seeing multiple videos. We're seeing videos of police telling people to tag buildings with, you know, tag buildings with Black Lives Matter, different things like that. You're seeing bricks popping up in places just out of nowhere, you know, being conveniently set in these locations. I mean, you're just seeing, I'm pretty sure I'm leaving out. It's been so many different things. You got MSNBC using scenes from World War Z Did y'all see that? How many times, if y'all follow the word on the app thing, y'all know we stay on these goddamn mainstream media news outlets, and man, they get caught over and over again. If you believe 100% of everything these people say, man, y'all need to go check into the crazy house. Y'all need to go check into the crazy house, because that's just what they do. That's just what that mainstream media just, they're habitual liars. And like I said, they got caught using an aerial view of Philadelphia, and it was a scene from the movie World War Z. You had the guys sitting up there busting out the windows and AutoZone and stuff like that. So, the people went out and protested. But you had, it looks to me to be agents coming in, just like it was with the LA riots. Agents coming in and starting an insurrection, anarchy, and different things. And the people, like, the lemmings that they are, they followed suit. So we've been seeing a lot of people have been saying it's not the right way. It's not the right way. And, you're burning down our shit or whatnot. And then the others saying, well, fuck it. You're burning down the plantation, burn it all. It's not our shit and stuff like that. What do y'all think? And what are y'all thoughts on the split and how everybody feels about the burning down of the cities, man, the anarchy? What do y'all think? You got something, Randy?
I mean, I understand. I understand that everybody has their own opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's fine, good and dandy. Like, I understand that they feel, because I've had multiple conversations and people feel like we've used our voice on multiple occasions and nothing has ever happened. And I guess they pretty much what they're saying is, since we used our voice and nothing is happening, we might as well just go to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Ratchet it up a little bit and start burning some of these buildings down. And I'm just like, I can see that, but I truthfully don't agree with it. But you know what I'm saying? That's coming from somebody. This is coming from somebody who kind of thinks differently from everybody else. Go ahead.
Let me answer this for Jeff Myers, because I thought about this and somebody brought this up. Said, I want to hear your thoughts on self-policing, and is it possible for the movement to show zero tolerance to people acting in violence or accord? This is the point, and I thought about this, and I heard somebody say this earlier, and I thought about it, and I said, that may be what it comes to, because we know that you'll have these different forces that come out and try to start these different things so the government can move in and impose martial law like they did. Y'all need to be talking to your state governors. I just heard that, the mayor was going for Quentin Lucas, and I can't stand Quentin Lucas. I can't stand that motherfucker. But but yeah, I'm about to get to it, Jeff. But I just heard in actually Kansas City that the police force doesn't even answer to the mayor. It's for the government. That's what I learned today. Lauren passed that information along. So you got to talk to your folks, because that's a violation. They shutting out the protesters from their First Amendment rights. We know we can't trust, and then you got people that are agreeing with that. So all we're doing is increasing the military and police force, which gives them more, reason to have the ego that they have, which leads to more George Floyd situations, because the more power you give them, more that shit will happen. I believe, yes, there needs to be some self-policing is always the best option, especially in this day and age, and that's something that needs to be thought of. That's why I said we shouldn't go to these protests. First of all, these protests and different things need to be organized. But this is what we talk about. We try to, trying to get people together in times of peace. See, what happens is we're sitting up there we're in the middle of, I heard somebody use this metaphor, basically, trying to build a storm shelter when the tornado's on its way, instead of having the goddamn thing ready, you know. And that's what we end up doing. And there's no, like I said, I know for myself, man, you know, what I've experienced, you know, it's hard to find, you know, people, you know, in appropriate, you know, there's never an appropriate time to have these different conversations, because, you know, everything's, you know, if they're not at work, you know, I got this and that, and then, you know, then it's always, you know, every week's a fucking party, you know, every week's a fucking party, and, you know, get drunk, shit like that, and then kick it back, talk about bullshit. But, you know, within the I don't know, Deidre. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Bill Gates, but yeah, but in the meantime, you know, we're not talking about why we drunk, fucked up, high, or whatnot. You know, we're not having no real discussions about real life and things, you know, asking questions. You know, a lot of people just don't want to ask questions. But, you know, like I said, we're not an intelligent society. Intelligent people tend to ask questions and want to, you know, just want to seek that different thing. But we haven't been taught. We're a society that values gratification and instant gratification at that. So no, yeah, we definitely self-policing to be the best way. I said we shouldn't be going to any you should not be going to any protest unarmed. And then, yeah, you have to defend, you got to do that because you got to defend what's yours. We keep talking about this racial shit and all, you know, taking about racial, and, you know, you got black people talking about burn it down because, you know, they, in their eyes, they see all white people as the ones pulling the strings or whatnot, when it, you know, all in reality, it's an elite group that's at the top. You know what I'm saying? That nobody here. We're all pawns here in America. We're all pawns. Not every motherfucker is racist. So what you end up doing when you do this is you're destroying your own economy. You're destroying your neighbor's business. I can understand if you're talking about taking out the banks, taking out the police, take out the police station. Now, I understand it could be coming, it was more than likely going to be coming out of your tax money. But when you burning your own neighbor and people who can help you, you don't even know their history. You haven't even done the homework to understand their history. You just got mad, saw something that you have every right to be mad. You have every right to be fed up because of the history, especially black people in this country. Everybody in this country has the right to, but especially black people got the right to be fucking fed up with everything they've been through. But you haven't done the homework. You haven't done the homework in the meantime, in between time. You ain't done enough homework. You don't even know, you know what I'm saying, the story of how this person got their moms and pop shop built from the ground up. So we just going through burning everything, and then you had these black leaders and shit, Killer Mike, T.I., all these cats. This fool T.I. talking about, oh, we must protect Wakanda at all costs, and then basically does a mic drop and walks off the stage. They were cool as long as everybody was burning up everything else around the country. But as soon as it came to ATL, oh no, not here. Like there ain't, quote, let's just leave it at them referring to black people. The black people all around the damn country. But not only that, people have bonds. The bond goes deeper than just race. And so you're destroying these bonds when you ignore the fact, and even when we're talking about the race, when you ignore the fact that white people make for over 60% of the population. And like I said, not all of them are racist. And just like black people and white people and just the country for the most part has not had a conversation, because nobody, just like you saw on that Charlemagne the God and Rush Limbaugh interview today, nobody is educated enough to even have the conversation. So it's just the conversations are going nowhere to even understand. But we're getting along, and you know what I'm saying? We're not even understanding each other. There's a lot of white militia groups out here, just like the one that was at the Capitol. Now, it may have been for them to arrive at the Capitol. That's one thing. They were able to go in which and most Capitol buildings, they got laws that say you can't come in there with firearms. So that may have been white privilege, so to say, whatever. But fuck all that. But fuck all that because it works for everybody, no matter what race, because they're fighting for your rights. But y'all turned it into, oh, they went there so they could get a haircut. So they could get a haircut. And what else did they say? They said a haircut and something else. When that's not what it's about. It's a proactive movement. They're not waiting until somebody dies. That's the difference when y'all try to compare what's going on now to the Boston Tea Party. What y'all doing now is not the same as the Boston Tea Party, because the Boston Tea Party, them folks there understood the consequences of the no taxation without representation. So they were being proactive. It was not a reactive movement. And that's why they started dumping this shit. Get that shit the fuck up out of there. It's not the same thing as burning down businesses in your neighborhood where your auntie, mama, father, your sisters, brothers got to go to work too, because y'all asses is not going to build nothing back up. They got to go to work too. They got to get their medicine from or whatnot. What's the plan? What's the plan B?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So when you have people like Kodak Black that gets a weapons charge put on him,
Remember we did that one last year. People looked at me crazy. Yep.
But I want to go down a rabbit hole just to kind of ask a question to understand, or to maybe shed a little light on maybe why a Black person wouldn't feel comfortable doing the same thing that that militia group did in Michigan.
Oh yeah, I understand that. Yeah, go ahead.
So that's I'm just saying, like, we can talk forceful, because we have a certain ideology and a certain mindset, but when you see things like that happen, most people wouldn't even have the guts to go storm a Capitol building, because if they putting cases on people that's just illegally carrying guns, not actually using it, then I'm the same shade as him. So they not gonna let me do it. So I think that inherent fear is real. I think that fear is real. And when you talk about self-policing, I think you have to ask the question of, if I self-police, let's say I catch a looter and I hold him down and call the cops and wait for the cops to come in and seal the deal, is there going to be backlash on me for it? Because people don't, you have to understand that you got a large group you got a large group of people that, Black people that don't trust the police. And so for them to self-police a situation, that's, again, you're looking at a history of, them seeing something that, well, they're not going to support me. Like, do I accost a person or do I get video and then accost them? Because I'm going to need proof that I needed to self-police in the first place, and when I look at things like that, my thought process is from the standpoint of law enforcement. You swear oath to protect and serve the people. You're a servant of your community in which you serve, yet you decide you want to antagonize the peaceful people while turning a blind eye to the ones causing a little bit more ruckus. And so therefore, why would you defend me when you've already come after me instead of going after them? Now you expect me to self-police and then go into a court of law and prove that it was them, it wasn't me. Right. So it's just the ideology to think about when we think about, being militant. There is an inherent fear based off of what has been put out there. And I'm a firm believer in know your rights, understand your rights, but even the thought process of, man, if something does go down, I can't afford an attorney. So I'm not going to be, adequately represented to be able to even prove my case, which makes it harder on me to prove my case as an individual. So I just wanted to point those things out.
Well, the thing about that is that's why these type of conversations have to take priority to what happened on what's going on the new episode of The Ozarks and shit like that, or what happened at the basketball game last night. These are the type of conversations, and we got to be at these city hall meetings. I woke up at 9 o'clock this morning to be at a city hall and take place in a public city hall meeting, and I plan to do this pretty much every goddamn day because I want to have these conversations, and they needs to be addressed. Number one thing, what you just said is that was the main reason why everybody was saying, why didn't the people who were there do anything? Why didn't they do anything? And I said they're not cowards. I don't call them cowards, but they were scared because they're like, what the fuck do we do? Like, because you wanted, you just slaughter all of them, but then now you're sitting up here fighting the justice system, right? You're fighting with a justice system that you pretty much can bank on. It's not going to be on your damn side. So if we understand that we live in we live in a life like this, and we have a looming threat over us like this, these are the things that have to be addressed, and it has to be addressed ad nauseum until we can get a resolution.
I agree.
I mean, it has to, and whatever goes on between then, that's what goes on, but it has to be addressed ad nauseum, because we got to understand now we got to find a way, and we got to make sure that our city is on board. And like I said, you can't rest until it's addressed, because like I said, that situation right there, I mean, everything was filmed. These motherfuckers should have had their guns. Everybody should be strapped. But like I said, we take away, like, no, everybody should be strapped. Everybody. I don't give a damn.
Not everybody.
Everybody should be strapped. Everybody. I don't care if a person has a mental illness. I don't care if they're a felon. Because I'm dead serious. But think about it, because the majority of people aren't. The majority of people don't have. Most people are fucking mentally ill, but not in the form to where they can't make a decision like that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just messing
like that. I personally believe in the all right, Jeff, I'll let you later. I personally believe, you know what I'm saying, I believe in something more than just people in general. And I believe, and
I'm just fooling around.
What they always try to use as an example of what's going on in the hood, what's going on in the inner city, quote unquote, urban areas or whatnot. Not understanding that that's what's happening there is not a organic thing. That shit was not always going on there, but shit, programming. That shit comes through media programming and different things. That shit was done purposefully. And then, you know what I'm saying, shutting them out, you know what I'm saying, and putting them in that destitute position, and then, putting drugs there and different shit like that. It's the same way. The way that they were made is the same way that racist, people where racism was able to be law for years, in the black codes, even after, because people talk about, slavery ended, that's ended in so-and-so 1865 and shit like that. You need to look up the black codes, because then you had the black codes that went on and then bled all the way into Jim Crow and different things like that. So it was able to exist for that long because of the mindset, and people were influenced, and they were actually programmed to believe that, white people or black people were less than. They were actually programmed that way. Influence is a motherfucker. That's why most people here in the U.S. are Christians. If you were born in the Middle East, 9 times out of 10, you would be a Muslim, because you are programmed to be that way. And you are programmed, most people are programmed not even to question what they learn. So it's all the same, thing. But yeah, no, the discussion has to be, now you guys have to start talking to your city hall, start talking to your state, whoever, on ways you have to put more power back into the citizens. you should be discussing how can we protect. We need to be able to protect ourselves and hold these police to a higher standard. And we have to make sure that y'all have our backs when we protect ourselves. When we protect ourselves. Police body cams, that's why I like protests, because people say protests don't work or whatnot. They do work because we got body cams from all the shit. Should have been had body cams.
That's that instant gratification. That's what that is. When people say protests don't work, it's because you're looking for instant gratification.
Yeah.
That's why protests don't work to you, because you want to lead a protest and then you want to be like, oh, I did something. Then we should be changing right now instead of saying, all right, well, tomorrow I gotta go protest again, you know, or I may have to show up to a city council meeting, or I may have to
go
to my Capitol building.
It's a marathon.
You know, and so
it's a marathon.
Real talk, man, real talk.
It's a marathon.
I want people to understand that, you know, America, for most of America's history, there's been, you know, racism, sexism, bigotry, you name it, it's been here. So if you think about the centuries and centuries of that happening, what makes you think it's gonna change tomorrow? Like, I'm gonna be dead before I ain't gonna say real change, because real change can't happen tomorrow, but before the system is really fixed, I'll be dead. Because I'm not gonna change centuries in a decade. It's just not gonna happen. You know, you gotta keep hammering out everything. You gotta ask questions about everything. Because once you fix one thing, that don't mean everything is good now. You gotta move to the next thing and focus on that, because we would have been had change in laws and things like that if our true foe didn't give a shit. If they was like, oh yeah, you know what, you right. Go ahead and change that. Why don't you go type that up and put that in the memo so we can get that moving?
Everybody watching, if y'all got any questions, or objections, ask some questions. Ask questions, we'll address them. Ask away. Don't feel scared. No, there's no stupid question, no such thing. Ask anything. We'll address it all.
But I mean, that's what people need to understand, you know, and think about this during slavery. Man, them pig farmers that had slaves, they were just trying to eat. They was just trying to eat. They didn't necessarily. If there was another way, they probably would have thought about another option, but they weren't given another option. It was like, hey, as an elitist, you're poor. If you want to eat, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna oppress another group of people, you know. And if you don't do that, we're gonna oppress you, and we're gonna make your life a living hell. You know, and so that's where this whole thing about, you know, race really comes into play. That's where it comes into play. All those people, everybody ain't against you. Everybody, oh, it's me against the world, me against the world. It sounds good, but it ain't true. It sounded good when Tupac said me against the world, but it ain't true. Everybody ain't against you. Now, everybody ain't for you neither, but that don't mean just because somebody ain't for you, they against you. That just simply means that they focused on them, people around them, before they focus on you. Now, they might get to you down the road. But they have other things and other people that are more important. This is a big world, people. We could spread out. We can live harmoniously, but we decide that, well, I want to, instead of going to find some space that ain't even touched yet, I just want to sit on top of you. I want to sit right on top of you, or, you know, you did all the work. Now I want to take it from you because I don't know how to do it by myself. So then I'm just going to let you do all the work, and then I'm going to take it from you. you know. And so, you know, quit looking at other races as your enemy, because the other races ain't your enemy. You'll find your enemy within your
No,
own race.
I wanted to say, like I said, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Uh-uh. Can you hear me? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
my
we can hear
damn
you.
shit started
You want stable
going slow.
again?
Nah, I just wanted to. I don't know if I finished the. Nah, yeah, my shit, yeah, go all over the place, man.
He really
Yeah,
is
but
unstable in real life too, y'all. He's unstable in real life. That ain't his internet.
now, I don't know if I finished. I may have said it already, but I just wanted to make sure when we're talking about, like I said, white people make 60% of the country. There's a lot of militia groups, different things, a lot of people who are mobilizing, and they're mobilizing for the rights of American citizens, whether they, they may not like black people. They may, who knows what's in their heart. What you got to focus on is the action and the action and what works for you, what you will benefit of. Stop fucking on worrying about who likes you and different stuff like that. They make up 60% of the country. So if you turn a blind eye and say, hey, it's only about black people, and every time you got all these five, I just named 5 cases of white people where they were murdered. The police got off, they were murdered on camera and murdered blatantly. Blatantly is a flat out murder, like clear cut. So if you're able to ignore that, you're letting the people in power know that they can take out the majority, the person that represents the majority group in here in this country, and that can be a large ally, a large piece to the pie. Think of what had happened with Waco Branch, Waco and Branch Davidians, and out there in Ruby Ridge. What I talk about with that also, but you got Schaefer Cox, where he was leading a militia group, and think about how they set him up, and now he's doing almost 25 years in prison. These are militia groups that they're protecting your rights, because you can't be able to build up. You can't build up without your unalienable human rights. You can't build up because then they'll always find some way to circumvent it out of what we tend to do is tend to give up our rights out of fear. And then every time you do that, they'll be able to circumvent and step in. And like I said, now they can sit there putting in curfews fucking up your business and stuff like that, having people come in as you scared to be able to defend yourself, you know what I'm saying, to self-police, all type of things, the coronavirus and different things like that. You take away your rights, you take away your ability to build, you know what I'm saying, independently and keep it consistent. There'll always be something that's something that can stunt your growth. So that's the reason why I say, that's the most essential reason why I say you can't allow those different things to cloud your judgment. What is that? Got anything? Yeah.
I want to just add a layer to what you said, because I know you said that we give up our unalienable rights out of fear. Couple other things that would do that would be a lack of education, number one.
Yeah.
And then number two, a lack of resources. And I think that resource allocation is a very, very important piece for us to start. I think that's really an important place for us to start creating this change that we want to see, is make sure that we understand and have the right resources and the effective resources to actually fight. Because I mean, you hear it time and time after again. He had a just a little probate attorney dude didn't care about him, so he told him to take a deal. You know what I'm saying? Take a deal. They're gonna put you on probation. They may slap you. Put you in jail for a year, but it's only a year though. But it's only a year. What you don't understand is that year with a felony turns into 10 years. And if you ain't figured it out in 10 gonna turn into 20. And really the truth of the matter is a lot of people lose hope. So they do end up either going back, to jail and doing worse things, because at least that's a safe place for them. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to have the same lifestyle in jail that they have, just out on the streets. You know what I'm saying? It's sometimes for them it's simpler in jail. So, I just wanted to make sure, people understood that we ain't calling y'all cowards. You know what I'm saying? We're not saying y'all just a bunch of scaredy cats, because there are other factors, but fear is the number one factor of anything that most people don't do. You know what I'm saying? You hear black dudes don't know how to swim because we scared to drown. You know what I'm saying? So,
I don't know, man. I don't know, dog. I don't know, dog. That just might be. That just might. I don't know. That just might be. You know what I'm saying? We jump high, we Air Jordan. You know what I'm saying? We run fast than the motherfucker, but man, hopping in, you know what I'm saying, swimming with the fishes just might not be our damn thing, man. You know what I'm saying?
Just get with Javier, man. He gets you right. Javier gets you right, man.
Hey.
I'm just playing, yeah.
Lorraine, you got anything, man?
No, I ain't got nothing, but stay tuned for this video. There's a video that just came out of some police officers with a truck full of bricks. So,
it actually released. They actually caught them.
We got a video. So,
and you know what? I look at some until you just got a question, but you got to take it for what it is. Even if it's, these videos, they do it and they meant to be caught. They meant to be caught when you see them. You still got to take it for what it is, and you got to move around it and respond to it accordingly. You can't let it throw you out of your emotions and, have you, what I'm saying, like I said, leading you into burning down your own neighborhood. Because like I said, nobody has a plan B. Everybody wants to
do that shit.
Bad. See, if y'all got, I don't know if I said this on the previous episodes, but with y'all logic, because y'all saying, go ahead and burn everything down because you're mad. With that logic, people who agree with that, and if you want to stick with that and remain with that ideology, you can never blame the gang member or whoever, you know what I'm saying, the nigga where it's a war, a whole gang war, and it's always an eye for eye, and we talking about stop the violence. You can't never blame them again for getting at whoever did it to them, getting at their cousin, their mama, daddy, or like in Chicago, the Tyshawn Lee situation where they got the 7-year-old son. You can't never blame them because they mad, so they want to cause destruction. That's if you want to go with that, if you want to understand that ideology.
And I want to say this right quick. You ever seen the Hunger Games?
No, I ain't seen it. I've
man,
heard about it.
Yeah, man. If you ever watch that, there's a line in, I think the second to last film of the series of films, and there was a common theme that people kept saying, and it's know who the real enemy is. Mm-hmm. Know who the real enemy is. You may get emotional because I did something, you know what I'm saying, that you might didn't like, but know who the real enemy is, though.
They motherfuckers want to buy into it, man. They gonna listen to see my son up there, Tamika Mallory and all of them. They pushing for burning shit down. You know what I'm saying? All the pro-black cats, D.L. Hughley, all these cats, man, like they talk almost as if they're agents, man. Like I said, y'all need to listen to what Malcolm X said about these black folks who are within the media. They're agents out here. Y'all need to listen to Brother Malcolm. I know y'all, if you don't respect us, I know y'all respect Brother Malcolm. I know y'all respect Malcolm X.
I want to say this, though. I want to say this because I think this is important to compartmentalize kind of the reasoning for that mindset. That's not the statement. In some cases, there some people just say burn shit down. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. But a lot of what you have been hearing from a different group of people is the burning down of property can't overshadow the reason for the protest. So they're not saying burn it down, But if you're going to focus on that and not the real reason that the people that are protesting for the right reason are out here, if you give me a choice, yeah, let that shit burn down.
But see, even with that, because you can't sustain, because what's your whole end game, unless you're just saying burn it down and we can all die, including my kids and everybody, we can all burn in it and whatnot and starve or whatnot. That's one thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like a suicide bomber. But their objective is they're trying to build and trying to get out. And so what you're doing is, like I said, along with participating, just like they did, like that black militia group that went to the courthouse and protected the lawmaker who was putting out laws that was detrimental to, let's keep it on black people, that was detrimental to what, especially black people giving off what they've been through. And they, just because she's a black woman, they went up there and protected her. You know, it's things like that mixed with now you're burning down your own shit. You're not giving yourself any avenue to get out. And now you're going to keep.
But let me ask you this, though. Let me ask you this before you go down that rabbit hole. With the knowledge that we have now that outsiders have come in, it's just not people burning down their own communities.
Yeah.
It is kind of hard to just put it on, you know what I'm saying, the people that just ain't responding to that.
That's where the self-policing comes in. That's where the self-policing of the community. And then I'm not talking about the old boy who had the sword, tried to self-police with the sword, or motherfucker was sitting up there, motherfuckers coming out with nunchucks, and there's all type of stupid shit. I see the cat up there.
Batman was there too.
Batman, yeah, I seen that stupid shit. Nah, you need to be there. Show up to a protest, and let this be a reminder. You need to show up to a protest,
and that's probably part of the organization.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Hey,
that's where the
we're gonna protest. Y'all watch for the looters.
And once you start seeing people looting, you get in front of them. You get in front of them places because you understand. Get out your feelings and understand the method and what these places, different stores, and what they serve and how they build for your community. Unless you have firsthand knowledge of the history and you know that this particular store is detrimental to your community and you can prove that, that's one thing. But I know for a damn fact y'all don't. These
even then it ain't justified to destroy.
Yeah, it's not justified because it's private property. So you're basically. You want your rights and you want to be able to defend your constitutional rights, but you want to violate somebody else's constitutional rights. No matter how they got to what they got to.
I want to say something right quick because I want this to be something that people really hear.
Yeah.
I just learned something. Within the confines of us having a conversation, I just learned something. Because I ain't going to lie. I agree with them saying, hey, if it's between burning stuff down and you ignoring what I'm doing over here, yeah, let that stuff burn. I need your attention over here. Mm-hmm. But I learned something. And what I learned is that, and it kind of goes back to what we talked about in the very beginning, where if you organize your protest and understand everything that may happen, and if it's organized, then you already have a structure in place. Because here we are talking about, well, you need the protesters, but you also need people standing in front of buildings to make sure that buildings don't get destroyed. So
anytime I want to destroy your economy and stunt your growth, independent growth as a community, where you're trying to get away from the system, quote unquote, anytime all I got to do is drop coronavirus. All I got to do is kill a nigga on camera. You know what I'm saying? That's all it takes. That's all it takes, because they write the rules as it goes down. Y'all got to play chess. Y'all got to play chess. I understand you mad and all, but you got to get out of your feelings. You got to start playing chess. Because all they got to say is we gonna kill a person on camera. And that's all it takes. Because you know, person, you kill somebody, that's gonna get them out that's gonna get them off their game. That's how shit's been going. That's how conflict keeps going and whatnot. Who's gonna be the one that starts using their brain and start figuring out an effective way to end the cycle? But everybody has this eye for eye, smell blood, and you keep falling within the trap. And like I said, this is all a trap. The fucking Rodney King, this is Rodney King all over again. A lot of those businesses never came back, and it devastated. It fucking devastated those neighborhoods, man. The businesses never came back, and then you just see. Remember, y'all forgot J.P. Morgan. Did y'all forget? Last year, was this last year? Yeah, last year, J.P. Morgan, 20 tons of cocaine came in. Y'all forgot before the Rodney King thing happened, 20 tons of cocaine came in. Were found in a warehouse. What they do is they say they find it, but they lose track. You don't ever get a record of what has been happened to it or the disposal of it or anything. They disappear again. Nobody ever followed what happened to these 20 tons. It was 20 tons again. Well, nobody ever followed what happened when they were seized. They will always put in the news that this much cocaine and stuff was seized or whatnot, but they're not following the process of the disposal and where it went after that process. So, like I said, you sit up there, you devastate these communities, and then, hey, we ain't got no choice. We need to we ain't got no choice. We got to go in and we got to do what we got to do to survive. Get practical. One thing I want to say before we even fall out is I want y'all to do away with titles. I want y'all to do away with titles and when you're talking about, I'm a more of a verb person. I'm verb versus noun. Because verb is all about that action. Verb is about what you're doing. Nouns ain't nothing but names. It's just like what I talk about with me and my wife, and people talk about when we finally made marriage legally official. I'm like, we've been married, because at the end of the day, all you got is your balls and your word. Marriage, you don't need a paper or anything to make a marriage, to come up with a marriage or whatnot. That's an agreement. That's the basic thing y'all should be able to stand on anything in your life is your word. Before anything, before it even gets to, stuff like writing it in documents and stuff, those are just to hold you contractually. But you shouldn't even be that morally corrupt to where you need that, to where you should be able to honor it without those different things. So talking about marriage, different things, it's just something you do. Talking about leaders. Everybody wants the leader and wants to name themselves a leader. Just lead. Fuck all the names and the titles or whatnot. Just do it. It's the same, like you say, everybody calling themselves kings, queens, this and that shit like that. You just gotta do it. You just do it. Fuck all the names. We are not children. Children need names. They need titles to make them feel good. We just do it. Just like Nike. Just fucking do it. Just do it. Just lead. Do it. It shows more in the action. Anybody can call themselves whatever they feel like, but it shows more in the action, which leads me to the term racist. You have to have to be able to identify. We live in a racist system, and that can be through the years. We have enough evidence to prove that. So we have enough evidence. We have enough to be able to show for the people who have actually studied, not the ones just out here, they see everything and calling it and haven't really studied anything and don't understand history like they think they do. The ones we can prove it. This is a racist system. We have enough evidence, but that's because it's been enough. It shows, and you can trace the money. You can trace the origins of everything or whatnot. unless you can generate enough information on a person, you cannot go off of one situation from a person and call them a racist. It could be all type of reasons. A person could have had a bad day, why he killed George Floyd, why the officer. But the fact remains, y'all take the spotlight off when y'all start aiming it everywhere else. The fact remains is the dude fucked up and he's got to pay the price. That simple. Stop with all the labels and everything. You have to have there has to be a consistency to even be able to label somebody as a racist. You have to understand their history. And like they said, it came out afterwards that, okay, yeah, he's killed, killed so-and-so, he's maybe killed this person and that person. So that leads to different things. Now you're able to, you got more information on a person, but you got to get some more information before you're even able to label a person like that. All you got to do, stop worrying about titles and whatnot and what it is, because even with George Floyd, and they sit up there talking about he was a good man and I don't give a damn. I talked about this with a Tatiana Jefferson. I don't care if they were college educated. I don't care if they slaughtered 100 people before the incident that took place. Police have a protocol that they're supposed to follow, and they should be held to that because that's the position and that's the oath that they swore to. So I don't give a damn if they just slaughtered 100 people in a church. They have a protocol that they're supposed to follow, and if they violate that, then they need to be dealt with along with the person who slaughtered those people. So I don't even care whether George Floyd was a good person, bad person. None of that stuff has nothing to do with police violating their oath and violating their position to protect and serve. But what are they protecting and serving? When you really study them and really find out, they're called law enforcement for a reason. We got a lot to change. We need to be doing the work within the peacetime, when it's peace. We don't wait till it's chaos. Like I said, that's like sitting up there trying to fix your storm shelter while the tornado's on its way, or while you're in the middle of a tornado, you're trying to fix your storm shelter. It's foolish. You need to have it going. You need to have the shit built in the meantime, in the peacetime, so it's ready for now. So our citizens don't feel scared to make a citizen's arrest on a police officer. And like I said, it's not something you just go to one meeting and, it's not something you go to one city hall meeting or, whatever to. This is a process. It's something that you have to be consistent, and you got to get people behind you to make that journey with you. And it's an arduous and very uncomfortable journey, but it has to be done if we truly want freedom. We truly want freedom. Shout out to the protesters. Like I said, protesting sheds light on different things, and it has an effectiveness, but there's more that has to be done even behind that. And even with the protesting, it has to be organized. It has to be organized so we can understand what goes on when we go out into the field, not just run out and you got chaos so people are able to infiltrate you like we've seen. Do away with the titles, hold people to their actions. Hold people to their actions. That's simple. Do away with the titles, hold people to their actions. That's how family gets over on you. Because they could say, hey, I'm family, and they be screwing y'all over. I'm like, oh, that's my people. I ain't got nothing more to say. Randy, you want to carry us up out of here? I've ran my mouth long enough.
All right. Yeah, man, this has been another episode of the Word on the App podcast with your hosts, Corey Gilmore, Randy Anderson, and Lauren Jones. What we need you guys to do before we bounce out of here is, man, like, subscribe to the podcast on Facebook. Also, we have a YouTube page. It is the Three Pyramids Network. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. Tell a friend, man. With all this being said, we'll continue to keep giving you guys content. If you guys like sports, we also have a sports page, man, which is Grit Sports Media. and we also have another sports show. We have a sports show, which is Unofficial Referees. So yeah, man, links will be in the description below, man. With all that being said, we love you guys. We appreciate each and every last one of you guys, man. And we'll see you when we see you, man. Peace.